Good morning, everybody. We're beginning week 2 of our class, and I want to say that all of you have submitted some really interesting first submissions in our first week's discussion board. I've been encouraged not to grade anybody early. I usually would have graded you by now on your discussion board and maybe even your first short paper, but things are changing a little bit here at SNU in terms of times for grading. So the grades will be coming out in the next day or two. You can look for them then. But you've all done really well, and you've submitted what you've been required to submit, which I appreciate. You may hear that, please excuse me, I'm having some problems with my voice. This has been going on for about 6 weeks now, and it's driving me nuts. And I'm sure it is to you too if you're trying to listen to me, so I'll keep this short. I have written a rather extensive announcement for week 2. You can access it, of course, in the class website. But this will go along with it and just will serve more as a reminder than anything else. This second week gets us out of the consideration that we've been having of the federal courts and into a parallel system in the state courts. Each state, 50 of them, have their own state court systems, and you will be asked in this week's discussion board to examine the system in your own state and to write about the process of selecting judges in your state, the tiers of the state court system from general local courts to first courts of record, which are called the trial courts, and then to the intermediate appeals courts, if you have one. Not all states have an intermediate appeals level, and then to the highest level. Please forgive me, I'm so sorry. The state court systems will parallel the structure of the federal courts that you've already examined. So there will be a very familiar kind of progress for you from trial through appeal through ultimate appeal. And you can describe what happens in your own home state, which is the preferred thing for you to do. But if you don't want to, if you want to explore the system in another state than your own, feel free to do that. Just name the state. Make sure you identify whose state courts you're describing. The next thing you'll be asked to do this week is to write a short paper that compares and contrasts the roles of state court judges and federal court judges. This is not an easy thing to do, really, but think of it in terms of the kinds of cases that state court judges, now we're talking here about trial courts, really, that trial court judges in the states hear versus what trial court judges at the federal level hear. What kinds of cases do they hear? How much publicity do those cases normally get? Which one has the more difficult role to play? And you can feel free to state your own opinions on this and the basis for those opinions. This is not really a situation in which there's a right or wrong answer. This is an opinion-based paper, so just write the best you can. The next thing you'll need to do in this second week may seem a bit premature, but it really isn't, because you need some advanced preparation for this. In week 4, you're going to be asked to do an interview of somebody who is a court personnel. Could be a judge or a lawyer, could be a clerk, a bailiff, a sheriff's deputy, any number of people, a stenographer, a court reporter. There are lots of people who are involved in the process of trying a case, and any of those would be appropriate for this week 4 interview. In preparation for that interview, you need to find and identify somebody who's willing to be interviewed and then get that person to sign a consent form. We encourage you to get those consent forms signed beginning this week. And you can find those consent forms under the Week 4 learning module under Assignment Guidelines and Rubrics. Now, my voice is getting worse and worse, so I'm really going to end this video right now. I apologize. My video channel on YouTube has Module 2 videos from previous terms if you'd like to look at those, but really I think the written announcement in this week's announcements will be sufficient, along with the written materials that you'll be asked to read and your own research on your state court systems. As always, feel free to contact me by email or through the general discussion board if you have any questions, and I wish you the best of luck. Bye-bye.